Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Fabled Lands. Now we find ourselves at Castle Ravane, which is virtually a city in its own right. The outer courtyard is filled with stables, grain stores, pens for livestock, carpentry yards and a smithy. Nearby, some knights are keeping fighting fit by charging with lances at a straw-filled dummy. That's not gonna last much under the impact of a charging lance. Beyond, another line of defences encloses the inner keep. The armoury in Castle Ravane resounds with the clang of hammers on anvils. The artisans here provide arms and armour for the greatest knights of Golnir. You can buy top quality equipment or sell anything you do not need. We're not going to sell anything, but I think I'm going to move on from here. Now, importantly, we have a potion of comeliness, we have a charisma blessing, we have a luck blessing. We could attempt something very, very brave and foolish. But first, I'm going to go on a bit of a roundabout route. Let us depart from the castle. You can travel south towards the coast or venture into the heartland of Golnir. Journeying by river costs 5 shards. Let's take the road. Now, I'm going to go down to Ringhorn and pick up our ship. Then I will sail west to Aku in Utaku, where I will attempt to purchase something, and then return. But I also want to head through this portion of land here, because there's a random encounter I'm hoping to eventually have. It might not happen. Here in the peaceful countryside of southwest Golnir, hay carts rumble down leafy lanes and peasants look up from their work with a cheery wave. The dangers that an adventurer must often face are easily forgotten in this idyllic setting. You meet a wise friar who tells you that he recently passed through Goldfall. People there imagine they get rich by searching for gold that falls from the sky. But even if gold did fall from the sky each night and there was enough for everyone in the world to collect a handful each morning, would that make you rich? He goes on his way. Well, no, because everyone else would be rich too, so he'd be kind of average. You head over the downs and strike out towards the hinterlands of Golnir. I could use a luck blessing, but I don't think I will. This is the area I want to pass through at numerous points in the playthrough. Actually, you know what? No, let's take it. I need that luck blessing elsewhere. You're on the coastal road that snakes along the windswept cliff tops between Ringhorn Port and the market town of Matricians. Oh wait! I did have something else to do. I have a treasure map of the Forest of the Forsaken, which is just up here. Okay, that gives me a reason to go back. A troop of militiamen comes marching along the road. A burly man-at-arms with wild hair is leading the column, a wicked flail in one hand and a shield adorned with a black boar in the other. The militiamen don't seem to even notice you, so you continue on your journey. In which case, let's go back through the hinterlands. Oh, but if I'm going up there, I should probably... Oh, well, never mind. You head over the downs and strike out towards the hinterlands of Golnir. Let's try again. Ah! Another uneventful journey. You know, if we go back down to the coastal road, meet the militiamen, go back up through the hinterlands again. Another uneventful journey. It's just not happening, is it? Okay. The road to the coast carries a constant traffic of trade goods to and from the hinterland. We've run into a merchant caravan. They have plenty of goods to trade. Items without a merchant price listed are not stocked, but you can still sell such a thing if you have it. I'm not going to sell anything. The road snakes on between the verdant farmland. To either side you see peasants working in the fields. The barns and thatch-roof cottages present an idyll of peace and contentment. And we have another uneventful journey. The town of Haggart's Corner stands at a place where three roads meet. Here, in certain seasons of the year, the Trow are said to come and trade their marvellous trinkets in exchange for human favours. It is a pretty pastel-hued town. Houses with high gables and mullioned bay windows are set around a series of courts where fountains splash dreamily in the sunlight. The market at Haggart's Corner amounts to just a few shops whose dusty shelves suggest they don't do a roaring trade. "People prefer to do business with the Trow," says one shopkeeper with a shrug. "Who can compete?" Perhaps you will find a bargain here all the same. The equipment here is pretty basic. Let's pass on through and up the eastern road. East of the Whistling Heath lie fertile lands that provide rich pickings for the yeomen of central Golnia. We'll probably be returning here shortly. We have an uneventful journey, which is great. You're walking along the bank of the River Grim, called the River of Souls because it is said to carry ghost barges laden with the souls of the dead. Just after nightfall, a punt carrying translucent figures comes drifting along the river. "Come with us," call out the wraiths. "We'll take you to a feast in the underworld." Already been, can't go again. Here, on the flat country of southeast Golnia, the River Grim meanders before sluggishly debouching into the swampy delta of the Magwort Fens. Lush cornfields are on one side, the surging river on the other. You reach a point where it is possible to ford the river across a causeway of ancient weathered stones. We'll stay on this side for now and head up to Conflass. You come to Conflass, a thriving market town at the point where the two rivers meet. I've probably mentioned this before in this playthrough, but Two Rivers Meet Leisure Centre is where we used to have all our swimming lessons at school. And it was like a good 20-30 minute drive each way as well. It is a delightful town of white-fronted houses with brightly painted timber frames. The burghers of the town are open and friendly. As one explains to you, "We tell the baronies that we pay to the Sakarans, and the Sakarans that we pay tax to Castle Ravane, so they both leave us alone. That's why you'll never find a long face in Conflass." What do they have for sale? Anything interesting? We can sell smolder fish here if we get them. We do not currently have one. Let's take our departure from here. We're near the Abbey of Lacuna. If you're an initiate of Lacuna, then you have the option to visit the nearby abbey of your goddess. Non-initiates cannot usually find the path to the abbey as it is hidden and protected by powerful spells, though you can attempt to uncover it by making a magic roll at a difficulty of 15, or a scouting roll at difficulty 18. We're not looking for the abbey. The broad, gentle rolling pasture lands between the Grim and the Rainbow River lies before you. Wool is sent south from here to make the rich gowns of the merchant princes of Ringhorn and Matricians. How nice. Let's head into the Forsaken Forest. And we do have a map. The Forest of the Forsaken is a dark, forbidding place. Even in broad daylight, shadows cluster like a mass of cobwebs under the gnarled boughs. As you skirt the forest, searching for a path, you see a hamlet at the edge of the trees. A man looks up as you approach and starts to ring an iron bell. Hamlet of the Lazars. Lazars are Lazarus men, also known as lepers. Perhaps we should not go in there. We do not have a protection from diseases and poison blessing. So let's just pass on by for now. No, let's... Okay, this is dumb. Let us enter the hamlet. Unclean! Warns the man, his voice just a ragged cloak issue. Unclean! Warns the man, his voice just a ragged croak issuing from a mouth ravaged by sores. You are horrified by the realization that you have strayed into a hamlet of lepers. We do not have a blessing of Makkah. Miraculously, you are not affected by the symptoms of the disease. It seems that the three fortunes were with you today. Did that? No, our luck blessing is good. Oh, right, yeah, but it takes time. We can stay in the hamlet overnight or hurry on our way. Let's stay overnight. Devika is a devotee of Nagil, the god of death, and what is disease but a step towards his fond embrace? You show the lepers you are not afraid to stay among them. They are grateful for your help in various chores that they find difficult. You gain one sanctity permanently, from which we shall greatly benefit. However, the next day you set out on your way once more. As you go, one of the lepers warns you. In that direction lies the village of the Bald Ones. Don't trust them. They'd as soon slit your throat as look at you. The path by their village leads to the heart of the woods. Now our map does indeed show the hamlet of the Bald Ones. The next day you set out on your way once more. Ah no, we've already had the warning. A hamlet of wattle and daub cottages with thatched roofs nestles under the branches of the trees. Beside the hamlet, a path snakes off into the gloomy wood. Not far off, several bald peasants stop work and lean on their spades to watch you. Just don't stop, walk along the path further into the woods. The path leads to a grassy glade beside the brook. Here a knight has set up his pavilion, encased from head to foot in plate armour. He sits astride his horse in silence, while his dwarfish squire scurries forward on stunted legs to speak to you. My lord contests your right to use this path, the dwarf tells you. You must fight him, or else turn back. Well then. I'll trounce you, sniggers the dwarf. I mean, my master will. With that, he waddles off towards the pavilion. You're a little surprised that he isn't going to stay and watch, since he seems so confident in the outcome. And we have a potion of strength, used before making an ability roll or before entering combat. We will drink it now then. The knight is no easy opponent. And yet we have a magnificent sword. Let's call upon the spirit of a fallen hero to accompany us. Our fallen companion will defend, and we shall curse the silent knight. Now attack. That may have been folly. And cleanse him. Your opponent falls with a hollow clatter to the sword, releasing a wisp of green vapour. When you throw open the visor, you're amazed to see the armour is empty. The dwarf comes running out of the pavilion in a state of high dudgeon. You cheated, he said. It isn't fair. I will have my revenge. So saying, he darts off into the bushes. You can take the remnants of your uncanny opponent, which is plate armor and a two-handed sword. Both of those seem like good things. We will put Don the plate armor to increase our defense. And the two-handed sword, well, it's no white sword, so we'll probably be dispensing of that in the future. Continuing along the path, the foliage around you is filled with eerie rustling noises. The boles of the trees are black and twisted with age. Before long, you come to a fork in the path. Now, so we would be about up here near the gibbet, or here. Let's take a turning to the left. The path wends its way between steep earthen banks from which the roots of trees protrude like ossified snakes. It brings you to a squat crypt built of green-veined grey marble. Above the entrance rises a small pyramid with a stone eye carved into the summit. In the centre of the eye sparkles an emerald as large as a duck's egg. That sounds very fancy, but it's been there for a long time for a reason. And that reason probably isn't just that no one has been here. Let us, however, enter into the crypt. Perhaps say a few prayers for the departed. The interior of the tomb is lighted by a greenish glow. Yes, greyish, not greenish. A corpse in ancient knightly regalia lies on a stone slab. Awakened by your approach, it sits up. Cobwebs veil its eye sockets, and its skin looks like the bark of a dead tree. It extends an accusing finger. For disturbing my slumber, I should strike you dead where you stand, it intones in a gravid voice. But there is a way for you to earn a reprieve. As a servant of the dead, I shall wait to hear what it suggests. When I was alive, I kept my treasure safe in a tower built of adamantine stone, the corpse tells you. The tower had an impregnable door that could only be unlocked by a key made of star metal. But my deaf sleep has been troubled by disquieting dreams. What if a living man should find the key and plunder my hoard? And what is it you want of me? You find yourself asking, your voice suddenly hollow in the stillness of the crypt. The corpse points past you, out to the south. Go and find the key of stars. Bring it back to me. Then I shall permit you to take a reward. As you leave, you hear its parting words. But take care not to return empty-handed, for then my vengeance would be swift and terrible. You'll make your way along the woodland trail. At the point where three paths converge, an iron gibbet hangs between two oaks. I shall go south towards the edge of the woods. A branch in the path to your left leads back out of the Forest of Forsaken. The way ahead is overhung by low moss-sheathed boughs. I shall leave the forest. You follow the course of the frothing Rainbow River as it tumbles across flat glistening stones and boulder-strewn rapids. We have encountered some hunters in a canoe, but they're in a bit of a quandary. They cannot go home to their wives until they have caught some fish, but they have lost their only hook. Can you help? They implore. I cannot help, I have no fishing hook. These are eerie woods, haunted by the rustling of leaves and the occasional mournful cry of an animal far off between the trees. Not many people are to be seen this far from the farmlands of the river valley. In a hole under an oak tree you find an old copper pot. You recall hearing an old folk tale in which a man left 50 shards in such a pot and was rewarded by the fairy folk. We'll leave 50 shards in the pot, we have plenty. The next morning your 50 shards is gone, but in its place you find a jar of fairy mead. That may prove very useful to us in the future. I'll just pop it over there for now. Oh, we have 2 of those. Excellent. We're back at Conflas. We'll head back to the Monastery of Mulhern. Mulhern is the blacksmith of the gods, famous for his cleverness and the breadth of his knowledge. Here at the monastery his most devout adherents live an austere existence, striving to honour the god through a regimen of hard physical labour combined with academic study. If you're injured, this is a good place to rest and recuperate your wounds. I do not need to stay here. I do, however, need to venture into the Whistling Heath. You see a hermit squatting beside a hut built of piled stones wadded with moss. Seeing you, he says, "Do you seek the Key of Stars? You'll find it at the end of a sinister path." You then go west onto the Whistling Heath, where the wind rips between high craggy tors, producing the eerie keening sound that gives the heath its name. And if you know your Shakespeare, the line, "It is both right and sinister." Because sinister is the Latin for left, it's a pun. So a sinister path would be left. We are going west, so we should turn south. The sky is filled with grey scudding clouds, racing ahead of the wind like ghostly galleons in full sail. We're going south, so we should turn left to the east. The Whistling Heath is covered by the shadows of low clouds as they go flitting by under the overcast glare of the sun, so we now turn northwards. You sit down to rest on an old tree stump. Water has collected in a hollow in the side. Idly delving into the puddle, your fingers touch a hard metal object. You clean off the muck and find that you now have a Key of Stars. Did the key fall from the stars, or just the metal it is made of? This is somewhat unclear, but we now have the key that we seek. Let's take this road and be foolish. The road to the coast carries a constant traffic of trade goods to and from the hinterland. We've encountered merchants. Excellent. Let's sell this coat of mail and this two-handed sword. I don't know if their prices are good or bad, but we'll take it. You head over the downs and strike out towards the hinterlands of Golnir, wasting time and going in the wrong direction because you're trying to roll a 6 or a 7, and we got a 7. A stranger in grey robes sits on the steps of a horse-drawn carriage, playing a bulbous flute. As you approach, he looks up and smiles. His teeth gleam white in the beams of from the rising moon. He says, "Riddle me this and read it aright. Where shall I next from my carriage alight? It's east of the sunset, west of the moon, north of the sea, o'erlooked by a dune. Such is the spot where we'll make our tryst. But be prompt, for sometimes it doesn't exist." The pipeman starts to get back up into his carriage. Pausing, he turns and gives you a wink. "Mind you go straight there," he says. "I can't abide being kept waiting." The horses need no touch of the whip to stir them, nor reins to guide them. As soon as the door of the carriage closes, they are off. East of the sunset, further east than east, west of the moon. Wait. No, the sunset's in the west, so it's to the east of the west, and to the west of the east. North of the sea, o'erlooked by a dune, and the sea is to the south of us. and he said to go straight there. This is a very easy quest to miss because it's actually timed. If you don't go straight there, if you spend too much time doing other things, you miss your opportunity. At the side of the coastal road there is a weathered old fort. It looks abandoned, with moss cladding the pitted black stones of its high walls. Its empty windows stare out to sea. It may be a relic from ancient times when the ruthless Utakins swept up out of the south to conquer all Harkuna. Let's go down to the beach. You descend the cliff path to a stretch of shingle. A fishing village is set up at the top of the beach, small stone houses with slate roofs. Nets and boats lie on the pebbles in the front of the groin. As you approach, a couple of fishermen look up and wave. Let's talk to them. I don't think this is wasting time. As you trudge across the pebbles, down the water's edge, a breeze blows in from out at sea, bringing the faintly heard strain of flute music. It immediately makes me think of Peter Grimes. What's that? You ask a fisherman. It's from the belfry of the old village that now lies out under the sea, replies the older man. At low tide you can see the roofs of the buildings. Walk out to them even. Not that anyone would, puts in the other man with a shudder. Flute music from a belfry? They never had a bell, see? A fellow called folk to pray with his flute. They say he was still playing when the sea closed over his head. But he probably has to wait for low tide to walk out and meet us. Let's continue along the beach. You watch clouds scud across the sky. The breeze raises white caps on the water and drives foamy waves up into the rock pools. But for a few crabs and a circling gull or two, you are alone on this desolate stretch of shore. We shall wait for low tide. You wait for the low tide and are reminded of Golden Dragon Book 3. It'll come, don't worry. We can seek the piper or wait a little longer. As darkness approaches, the retreating water uncovers a flat expanse of tidal flats dotted with seaweed-clumped boulders. Crabs run to and fro, searching for scraps. Then you see a carriage rumbling in your direction. It is pulled by two huge green horses and seems to have risen straight out of the sea. The carriage stops and a familiar figure with a flute climbs out. "Ah, you solved my riddle," he says with a smile. "Or is it just luck that brings us both here at this time? Well, it doesn't matter." He hauls a chest out of the back of the carriage and is about to give it to you when he spots a seashell lying on the wet sand at his feet. Picking it up, he says, "Tell you what, would you rather have what's in the chest or what's in this shell?" I'm intrigued. What's in the chest would be mildly beneficial, but shell? An interesting alternative offer. The stranger holds the shell to your ear. At first, there is nothing to be heard, but then a spectral voice begins to whisper. It tells you many secrets of ancient wisdom. You gain one charisma permanently. That's better than a few items. That could be in a chest. Bidding you farewell, the stranger climbs back into his carriage. "Wait," you ask. "Who are you?" His reply is almost drowned out by the fierce whinny of the horses. "They call me Dom Daniel." As the carriage turns and speeds back towards the sea, you hear the lilting music of Dom Daniel's pipe keening on the wind. You're on a stretch of wind-swept shoreline. There is nowhere to go but up the path to the cliff top. And now that we're up there, let's investigate the old fort. Inside, you find a set of steps winding down into the bedrock. At the bottom are 3 doors, each carved with a symbol. The symbol on the door to the left is a ram's head. The symbol on the central door is a fiery sun. The symbol on the right-hand door is a spider in a web. You suspect there is a hidden meaning to these symbols that you have not learned yet. It would be extremely risky to rely on blind luck. Let's leave to return another time. Okay, let's head into Matricians. It is a large trading city of broad market plazas and great palaces built by the wealth of the merchant princes. You can buy a townhouse here for 200 shards. The market is one of the largest you have ever seen. It stretches for hundreds of yards through piazzas covered with silk awnings, along the great esplanade overlooking the bay, and through shadowy colonnades where fortunes are made and lost in the course of a single conversation. We could purchase minstrel books here. Charisma. Okay, we could make use of some of them. Let's not do that just yet. But I will pick up a lantern just in case we need it. You're on a road that stretches across the downs between Haggart's Corner and the coast. We meet some wandering priests who give you some advice on religious rituals that might stand you in good stead, as well as a potion of godliness. We shall take that then. Bidding the priests farewell, you continue on your way. We will go through Haggart's Corner and take the eastern road up towards Conflass. East of the Whistling Heath lie fertile lands that provide rich pickings for the yeomen of central Golnir. It's the Seven Fools again. We've had this encounter before. We go to the Monastery of Mulhern. We travel to Conflass. To the Abbey of Lacuna, although we do not seek it. However, we've run into a bunch of nuns who are instantly recognizable in their green and brown habits. Greeting you with friendly smiles, they offer to take you to the Abbey. We really don't want to go there. But we shall go into the Forsaken Forest. The Forsaken Forest is a dark, forbidding place. Even in broad daylight, shadows cluster like a mass of cobwebs under the gnarled boughs. As you skirt the forest searching for a path, you see a hamlet at the edge of the trees. A man looks up at you approaching and starts to ring an iron bell. We will not enter the hamlet of the lepers a second time. We approach the village of the Bald Ones and go straight along the path past it. The path leads to a grassy glade beside a brook. The foliage around you is filled with eerie rustling noises. The boles of the trees are black and twisted of age. Before long, you come to a fork in the path. We have passed the part where the empty suit of armour and the dwarf were lying in wait, and now we've reached this junction, so we will go straight ahead. Left, right. We want to go right, don't we? You make your way along the woodland trail. At the point where 3 paths converge, an iron gibbet hangs between 2 oaks. So at this point, we want to head to the west. The path leads to a clearing. In the middle stands a narrow, windowless tower of jet black stone. Looking up, you see that the parapet of the tower is encrusted with small gems that glitter like stars. There is only a single door, banded solidly with panels of dark iron. You can unlock the door of the Black Tower using a key of stars if you have it, or by making a thievery roll at a difficulty of 13. let us use the Key of Stars. Having done that, we still have the key. You step into a dark tower. As your eyes adjust to the gloom, you see a spiral staircase winding up and up. At the base of the staircase wait 3 huge slavering wolves. They would attack you at once if they were not fixed to the wall by an iron chain. Let us approach then, as they deny us access to the stairs. The wolves crouch at the foot of the stairs and watch you with luminous green eyes. If we had a green medallion, we could use it. We do not have one. We could turn round and flee the scene. We shall not do so. With a growl, they leap forward, fangs bared hungrily. You must fight. We don't want to risk losing the Key of Stars. Here we go. Those are rather large fairy wolves. And our companion has risen once again, called from Nagil's kingdom. And he shall defend. Let's curse a wolf. Our fallen companion will remain defensive. Let us cleanse the wicked wolf and move up to here. Now our fallen warrior attacks, dealing some minor damage. We've got, what, 3 more turns cooldown till we can summon another? His rusty sword is not yet blunted. And the final wolf falls. They are no ordinary wolves, but some sort of enchanted beast with the power of regeneration. Under your very eyes, the splintered bones are knitting together, the blood pouring back through its wounds. Its wounds implies one wolf, and I imagine in the original book it probably was. The torn pelt becoming whole again. If you tarry here too long, you will have to fight them all over again. Let's climb the stairs then, while it is still healing. At the top of the staircase, you come to a belfry filled with roosting vampire bats that hang like sacks of dun-coloured leather around a vast iron bell. A loathsome trickle of fleas and lice falls constantly from the bat's fur. The door of the belfry is virtually covered with silver, gold, and precious gems, all sprinkled with bat guano. 2 items draw your gaze. A golden sword, which gives +2 combat, it's not that great. And a regal helm. You can take these 2 items easily. That helmet is nice, +1 defense, +1 sanctity. I'm going to have to drink a potion of godliness to be able to pick it up for some reason. And now it would make sense to don the helmet so that I can pick up the golden sword. So that is what I shall do. I did not need a lantern here after all. I could gather some more treasure. If the wolves are healing, I will leave without further delay. You'll make your way along the woodland trail. At the point where 3 paths converge, an iron gibbet hangs between 2 oaks. I'm heading south towards the edge of the woods. A branch from the path to your left leads back out of the Forest of Forsaken. The way ahead is overhung by low moss-sheathed boughs, and I shall carry on along the path. We are back at the crypt, so what I'm going to do is ditch the lantern, as I didn't need it, take off the helmet, as the knight is likely to recognize his own helmet, then enter the crypt. Suppressing a shudder, you put the glittering key of stars into the undead creature's hands. It gives a dry hiss of pleasure. Now I know my treasure is safe. I shall sleep soundly, it says. Closing its dead fingers tight around the precious key, it lies back on its slab and becomes inert once more. It promised me a reward, so I'm going to search the crypt quietly. At the back of the knight's crypt, you find a green medallion. You don't need it now. When ready, you leave. You're about to leave behind a rare artifact. Are you sure you want to proceed? Yes, I've got everything pretty much. I will go south and out of the forest. Past the Abbey of Lacuna, which I'm really not looking for. But I've met the nuns, and they've invited me to the Abbey, but I really don't need to go. And I have a very nice helmet. Which brings our sanctity up to a more respectable 12. We still don't have a sanctity item. I'll go to Conflass, go back out to the Monastery of Mulhern, down the East Road, hope not to meet the Seven Fools again, but it's happened. Go to Haggart's Corner. The road snakes on between the verdant farmland. To either side you see peasants working in the fields. The barns and thatched roof cottages present an idyll of peace and contentment. An uneventful journey. Excellent. We'll go into the hinterlands. The sun is sinking behind a shelf of cloud when you come across an ancient burial mound. Ghostly light flickers around the stone arch leading inside. We are no stranger to the dead. Let us venture in. A thin, grey figure clad in decaying robes comes stalking forwards out of the cold, dank heart of the mound. It wears a belt of shrunken human heads, and from the way it is brandishing that knife, you suspect it wants to add your own head to its collection. We could run, we could fight, or call upon Nagil, our god of the dead. We had to drink a potion of sanctity and of godliness as well. Let's do it. You raise your arms, making a sacred gesture of your faith, and declare in a firm voice, "Avaunt thee, crypt-spawned fiend!" A very successful sanctity roll. The Barrow-wight is held at bay, allowing you to make your escape. So be it. You're on the coastal road that snakes along the wind-swept cliff tops between Ringhorn Port and the market city of Metricians. We're heading to Ringhorn, where our ship awaits. Ringhorn receives goods from all along the Reese River, trading along the coast from Otaku to Yellowport and south to distant Ankon Konu. It is a very large, bustling city. You can buy a house here for 150 shards. Ringhorn Market consists of hundreds of stalls crowded into the cobbled square under the walls of the sheriff's citadel. And at the market, you can buy a scroll of Hot Pursuit or Crippling Strike. We already have Crippling Strike. Hot Pursuit. When you cast a signature spell, you gain 2 action points until the end of the round. The following skills are signature spells: Animal Companion, Stunning Blow, Lightning Strike, and Cleansing Flame. Most of which aren't likely to do very much for us. No, I'll look for another good passive skill instead somewhere. But I think I'll do that in the next episode, because I've probably played for long enough now. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I will be looking for a way to divest myself of this treasure map now that I have no more need for it. I'll see you all next time, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.